I think we are successfully live. Hi, everyone. I welcome you all to this weekly development meeting of Meshery. So on every Wednesday, we meet and we talk about Meshery as a project and what its future roadmap would look like, and all the efforts that all the contributors like you are making to help it achieve its goals. I'll once again go ahead by sharing this meeting minutes that will have all the agenda items and also links to the PRs that we'll be discussing, as well as some other resources for you too. So if you're not part of the Slack workspace, please jump in. The link for that as well is in the header of this docs itself. And by any chance, if any one of you don't have access to this docs, let me know and I'll make sure that you do. Quickly talking about Meshery, it's one of the project that Layer 5 community stewards and is also ninth fastest growing CNCF project. And we are right now are looking for volunteers who can help us get to 0.9, milestone. And we'll be discussing about this very shortly in the call. But yeah, there are any number of areas in which you can contribute, and for that I'll leave you with the docs. So I'll be quickly sharing the docs after we start with the agenda items. Before we formally get rolling with topics and announcements and a standing agenda item, it's tradition that we follow. That is, if you're joining this call for the very first time, you can unmute and give a quick intro. Where are you calling from and how did you come to know about the community? So I think we have a lot of newcomers on the call, and I think it will be very sweet spot for you to be taking the stage, unmuting and letting us know about yourself.
Thank you, Vivek. Hello, everyone. My name is Kushal Agarwal. I am a DevOps engineer at BITEDU Tech, and I am also a active member of CNC program. And I love to contribute in open source. Thank you.
Such a great intro. Thanks a lot for joining the call and for giving your introduction, Kushal. And I see you also have one PR, so we'll be sure to discuss that.
Okay.
And then we have Falgun on the call. So do you mind going next?
Yes. So hello everyone. I am Falgun Patel. I am from Gujarat, India, and I have like I am a trainee at Capgemini, and I have been learning React and Next.js, TypeScript, and this front-end stack. And also I know about a little bit about Golang and Kubernetes, and I am still exploring Golang. And I like open source. I have been exploring organizations to like contribute, and now I found Meshery, and I like I would like to contribute to Meshery. Thank you.
Thank you for your intro, Falgun. And yep, I also do believe that it's best to learn all the tech skills by contributing to the open source project. So that's just wonderful. We'll also be taking your item as you have that listed. So awesome. We are like 6 minutes into the meeting, and let's quickly take 1 to 2 more introduction. So anyone who wants to feel like going next and giving their intro, the stage is all yours. We'll wait for 10 seconds.
Hello, I'm Karan. This is my first time joining the Meshery call. So I've been contributing to Meshery. I contributed around October, November for around a month, and I'm back here. I'm contributing. I have contributed for a week, and I participated in GSOC in my first year. I am experienced with Monstack, and I hope to learn Golang and Kubernetes ecosystem whilst contributing here. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for jumping to the call, Karan, and giving your introduction as well. Anyone else who wants to go next and give their intro? So you know that you also can do the same in the chat box. So that's also something that will work. Next up, we'll be starting with the...
Hi, am I audible?
Yeah, please go ahead, Gilbert.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Gilbert Cheriot. I am based in Nairobi, Kenya. I am a DevOps engineer and also a full stack developer specializing in Manstack. I've been looking to begin my journey in contributing to open source. and I've been trying to find a niche that is ideal. That is because I've been looking to learn and upskill, especially in the Kubernetes ecosystem and any cloud native, the entire cloud native ecosystem. So I found Meshery to be an ideal um, project to be able to contribute to, and it's such a pleasure to be able to participate. This is the first time joining this particular meeting, and I'm looking forward to contributing to Meshery and also getting to interact with the entire team here.
Thanks a lot, Gilbert. And yep, so I'll be sharing this towards the end of the call. But yep, for any one of you who are joining this call for the very first time, I think you'll also benefit from the session we have on every Thursday for newcomers. So, but I'll be, coming to that, sharing the links. So once again, thanks everyone for giving your introduction. Now would be the time for us to starting with the announcements. So we have KubeCon, Cloud Native Con Europe coming up in a couple of weeks. And so Meshery project will be represented by two of the maintainers here, Yash Sharma and Sangram. We'll be having two sessions. And if you want to, if you are attending the event in person, you also can, be part of the program that we have. We will very shortly updating the date and timing for the second talk, but the first one is there, and you also can register for it. So I'll quickly go ahead by sharing this events link for you to check out later. And then we'll be quickly covering some standing agenda items. And the first one would be about component updates on Meshery CTL by Matthew. But as I see, Matthew has his name in sense regret, so he will not be able to join. But I think Amit is there and he will be able to take us through UI migration update very quickly. So Amit, are you all set?
Yeah, sure. So for the UI migration, like we so far migrating all of this extension as well to the Systent, and the Systent is using the Material version 5. So we are indirectly migrating to the Material version 5. So like all the Meshery and all of its extension, like now using the Systent component. So we we achieved like migrating the MVI version 5 completely with the Meshery and all of its extension. And the next migration we did previously we are using the node version of 18. So now we are using the node version of 20 as well. So if anyone like in the local setup, if you are using the node 18, so you can migrate like the node 20, and we support all of the Meshery, and the extension is supported now the node 20. So yeah, this is the second migration that we did in the last week. So any question regarding those? Yeah, okay. So, and also we migrated some of the component to the class based to the functional based component. So yeah. So any question regarding all of this migration?
I don't see the Prometheus and like all those integrations in the components you're planning to migrate from class to function. Do you mind if I add that and then work on that migration later on?
Yeah, so thanks for mentioning those. Yeah, those states are outdated. Like, so we created the new issue for those where we are tracking. So latest one, yeah, we are able to see like Prometheus and the Grafana, those are
Okay,
pending.
you're already tracking it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll pick that once I fix stuff. I'll pick that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that is all. Oh.
Thanks a lot, Amit. And for those any one of you who might be interested into taking a look at that sheet that we were that Amit was presenting, I will quickly drop that in chat. And so Amit, you might also want to follow up with some of the chat messages in the chat box. So next up is about testing, whether it's UI or testing in Meshery CTL. So this is again a sheet that we use to track the progress and all the areas which have been covered and which are yet to be covered. If you want to volunteer, you can this would be the place for you to be getting started, familiarizing yourself with this area. So I think this link was also I just quickly shared in chat. Let's take a look at Meshery's point 9 roadmap and various areas which are in need of help, and also someone volunteering to work on them. So these are some of the goals, objectives that we are uh, aspiring to be covering in point 9 roadmap of Meshery, and many are leading various components, but still there's room for any number of assignments from you. So if you are feeling comfortable leading any of the particular area, you can sound off in the discussion forum. This is our community forum, so in the thread you can participate as well. So I'll also be dropping this in chat. It's already there. So that was about point 9 roadmap. And looks like we are done with the standing agenda item. And so we'll quickly now move to topics. And the first one is from Yash Sharma. And I think this is, I think Yash is on the call. So Yash, do you mind going next and giving your update?
Yeah, sure. So I do not have other updates right now. However, we were having a discussion on why there is error coming on saving Prometheus connection in local provider. So it's a small error. It is coming because during the save somewhere we are passing wrong data type in the credential struct. I haven't got a chance to take a deep still where we are passing wrong type. It is not, it's a simple issue that it is not having the expected data type for the secret property inside the credential struct. Once we pass the right data type, it will fix the issue.
So you could reproduce too, like with your local provider, the same thing happened.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Then I'll fix it. It's in localprovider.go, right?
It's in the default local provider. So you have to just look where we are passing the wrong data type and just make sure that we are not passing it, and it will fix the issue. It's not more than that.
Okay, I'll take care of that then. Yeah. So for at least local, I'll be able to take care of. I have one question on the Meshery provider also, but I'm not sure if I should be taking this up. Let's give others the chance to take their things up, and I'll ask it at the end.
Yeah,
Because I'm facing.
I was following the thread of yours, and I found that okay, it seems like it's not the issue from the remote provider server. It more likely somewhere we are missing state update, and that's why like Mishri UI is not showing
No,
you
I
the
have
data.
like it's not even about Meshery UI. In Meshery server, I've copied the ID directly from my like Cloud Layer 5 integrations page. I copied the ID and I'm calling the provider dot get connection by kind and ID method. It still returns a default struct rather than giving me like the connection that I need. Though it's showing up in Cloud 5 UI, it does not bring it back to my server now.
Yeah. So then it can be issue where like when you make an request from the machine do some conversion from when we get the data from the remote provider. So you have to make sure that okay during that conversion maybe because we are not still full schema driven, so there can be a schema difference between the provider remote provider and the machine provider. So that's why it is assigning somewhere default value because it is not similar to the data that we are getting from the remote provider. So
Okay.
if
I
we
can.
yeah,
Where will I find that conversion if you don't mind? Like where should I look for that
I
in
will I
server?
will share I will share the link in the thread. So I have to look where it is. So I will share that.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And one thing you asked, like, I think we do have schema for connection definitions in right now in schemas.
Yeah, we
Yes.
do have.
Yes.
I we do have. I was just guessing. It might be possible that we are not fully schema driven. Like we do have a schema, but we are not properly still using it in the Mishri. So that conversion can be causing the issue that the value that we are getting in the Mishri getting changed, which is not
I
getting
think
matched.
like if that's the case, so as a part of the fix, maybe like couple you might just like you use the structs from the schemas rather than the hard coded ones that might be there causing issues. So like because I think that would first fix the issue and also like get us to being schema driven also. So do two things.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. So I guess the connection here that I'm getting is basically this connection is being fetched by the provider dot get connection by ID and kind. So I'm not using anything that is there in my code base. It's all that is implemented by the provider itself, I guess, because it's just returning the type. I'm using directly the implementation that that provider has done for that method. I am not using anything that is local, so that's where I'm stuck at. I don't want to eat
Also,
up the time for
that
everybody
is like
else. Yeah, maybe
just one
let's.
quick thing to confirm, like the provider like specific method that you're calling, like if that's directly returning the error, then there might be some chance like it's an issue from the provider, probably like maybe that like extension endpoint is like not being passed proper params or something, like because if it's directly like returning
Yes.
your error from that like provider dot get connection or whatever you are using.
Hmm. It's not even returning me the error. It returns me the connection, but just returns me the default struct. Like it gives me like 0 0 values rather than
So yeah, I think I agree with Abid. So sometimes what actually happens is if you miss few parameters, server doesn't return the value for it and it adds the default nil value, 0 0 value. So you have to match the same request that we make from the Meshery UI. Just make sure all the required params we are passing. If still you get the issue, then we have to check. But if
okay,
not,
cool.
yeah, if you are passing correct params, then you should be able to get the value because missing or because of the request doesn't have those params, server just adds nil value because it thinks
Hmm.
that okay, Mishri UI doesn't need that. So that's why. So just make sure that you have correct parameters added in your request.
Okay, I see. Because my problem is not from we can cut out the UI completely from the problem. Problem is from server and then what provider returns. So I don't think it's about the request, but I'll see because I cannot look further into this method. My problem is with this method, this get connection by ID and kind, and I just can't look further because it's implemented by the provider. It's not here in this code, it's in the provider's code. So I don't
Actually, like one
whatever.
thing that you can do
Yeah.
to quickly debug is like the request URL that's formed to hit the cloud endpoint. Like if you see like if
Hmm.
you log that from Meshery and then
That
see like from
I
the cloud UI,
understand
like
now.
if the same
Yeah.
endpoint is getting hit or what's the difference, so you might be able to debug like
Yeah.
what
That's
parameter
what
is
I'll do.
wrong or
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very great idea. Yeah, I'll use that. Maybe I'll put a
yeah.
network tab here and try this out.
Yeah,
Thanks.
because like from the provider dot like all of these methods are just like actually like hitting
Yeah,
some
API
API
request.
endpoints to the
Yeah.
cloud and then
Thank you, Kapil, Abid, and Yash. So we'll be quickly going to the next update, and that is from Hers and a number of changes he has to share. So Hers, I take it as if it's your first time sharing on this particular call. So the modus operandi is that you first give a context on the issue and then you go on sharing your screen, talking about the changes that you're proposing. So I'll quickly ask if you are all set.
Yeah, I am all set.
Yeah, please
So,
go ahead.
okay, just let me share my screen. So, is my screen visible?
Not yet. Just a heads up that you don't have to ask whether or not it's visible. If not, we will let you know. And there's also this $2 fine for every ask of every similar ask. So just be aware.
Sorry, it's my first time.
Yeah, you're not charged with the fine today.
Sorry for that. So, hopefully the screen is visible.
no,
You
it's
might,
not.
yeah, you might want to reshare or
Okay.
we can
Okay.
circle back.
Okay. Basically, the PR got merged, so I'm not sharing the screen. Sorry for the inconvenience. So what happened? There were multiple components which were in the class-based components. So what I did was first, basically this particular issue was assigned to me. So I converted this particular issue, basically converted this component from class-based to functional based and got to know about the code base. Apart from that, I was also looking at the code base that there were multiple times that for making an API call, we were directly calling an API, but but there was a review that I got in this PR that we need to make a API call by using RTK query. So what I did, I updated that particular API call to RTK query, and yeah, and in the code base as well, I'm also seeing that many of the components are being created, and the API call is directly being done. The RTK query is not being used. So I also reported that thing in the Slack channel. Apart from that, I'm currently working on the new issue, which is to remove all the font on some icons. Basically, we are removing the dependency of font on some icons. And yeah, there was one more thing. When I contacted to Amit, I was seeing that there were multiple components which were not being not being converted to functional based component. So he told me to create an issue where I can list all the basically components which are not being converted to what we call it functional based component. So I have listed this, and here what I have done, I have created the subtask, and I collaborated with Falgun and what we call Karan. So this all components will be created to functional based component till the end of this week. Yeah, this was all about from my side.
Yeah, Harsh, like one thing as you go through some of these tasks that are assigned to you, so make sure like you finish them and then like if you're taking the font or something, just make sure like maybe like create a small issue. Like it's not necessarily like to list everything where we are using the font or something, but make sure like after the PR is done, like we are completely getting rid of it, because otherwise we just keep going on back and forth and we don't know like similar issue with like this class-based migration still has something left. So make sure we do it end to end and completely, and like just so like verification, just like make a search in VS Code, like if whenever there's font something, like there should be like no results for that. There should be a easy verification.
Yeah, I did that. I basically found that 4 to 5 components were only using the font awesome library. Apart from that,
And then
all components were well.
agreed. Yeah, also like the same thing for the RTK one, we should make sure like that old data fetch order, it's like it shouldn't be used anywhere like.
Uh, yeah, I will do that as well. So I will raise an issue and then create a PR. So I will tag you in that as well.
So, Hers, I think that is all from your side, right?
Yeah.
We'll quickly pause to see if anyone has any questions or they have any suggestion for you apart from Abid. So we'll wait for 6 seconds. All right, so thanks a lot for sharing these updates. Next up, we have Falgun with 2 changes. I'll quickly take a look if we have Falgun with us on the call. Yep, we do. So same Falgun. Yeah.
Yes.
Are you ready to share your screen and
Yes, yes. So, like I was exploring the code base, and I found out that header.js was not converted to the class component. Then I like tried converting the header component into the class-based component, and I found out that uh, even before it was converted to class-based component, it was showing some error in the console, which were like due to bad set state call or something. So when I was trying to convert this header component, I also explored those sub components that were creating errors. And then like you were asking that why I wrapped this. Uh, let me show you. Why I wrapped that conditional logic into the use effect loop. So basically, I was trying to do that when the RTK query was returning as the value, like it was an asynchronous call. So I was like trying to optimize that so that we do not update the values on each render. Only we update it when it is needed. So that's why I used the use effect too, and that was like that resolved that. So I also checked for any other errors or like that were happening. Like when I was addressing this issue, like one component is like space switcher, where we have to select the organization and that. So I explored that and I found out that
Falgun,
when yes,
sorry to interrupt, but some like,
oh,
do you mind sharing who was the one who gave you feedback? So probably they will be on your PR to help you advance, on this particular PR. So, but I'll quickly check if anyone has any suggestions or feedback for Falgun.
Also, like formula for any of these class, and also for other guys like who are doing the class-based to function migration. So like, make sure to spend some time first with the original component and see like define its complete behavior, whatever it's doing, and when you do the migration, then test like everything is properly working. Because like there might be some minor code changes that like then affect the behavior. So make sure you are completely like sure like everything is working. So like document whatever the function of place you're doing, and like after that like make sure like everything is working properly. And most of like I don't like this, you won't need like to use effects and like these things. Like this mostly like these things are mostly used when you have to hack something. Like most of them like with RTK you don't need to have a accompanying use effect hook to do something, or like to have a dependency on the data from RTK, because like it's kind of the reason why we use RTK to like minimize the use of hooks and manually having side effects. So if you are finding a need to use that, you probably like that there is some issue in the code base, like why you are not properly leveraging RTK. So it's kind of a code smell, like easy way to know if you are
okay,
doing
okay.
something wrong.
I'll try refactoring it.
Thank you. So do you have any other updates as well?
Okay, so I also converted the custom toolbar select component into functional component, but this component is uh, like the simplest component and it does not depend on any other component. So it was simple to convert. So it is not like, and even it is like merged now. Like,
Great. So it would be
It
super
makes sense. Like, Amit, one thing, like, should we have it directly from system? Maybe like we don't need it now, like this custom custom select component. I think probably we have it in system. If I'm right.
Yeah, I guess we are using for it some of the small components. So yeah, but we can migrate those to system directly.
Yeah, yeah. If you'd like open, I should probably like to use it from system.
Okay. Yeah, I will.
I think that's it from Falgun. I've also shared the link of his second PR, so you all can take a look. So thanks a lot for sharing your updates, Falgun. Next up, we'll be having an update from Kushal on adding repo root check and generate command in Meshery. So I'll quickly confirm. Yep, looks like we do have Kushal on the call. So Kushal, like, are you all set to share your update?
Yes, but I am not able to share my screen today.
Yeah, so you can do voiceover. I'll be covering for you.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Um, First of all, thank you. In this in this PR, I generated in this PR, I make sure the changes that if someone runs the command from the wrong place, they get a error message pointing them to the exact guide they need to follow. Uh, right now, the error is not fixed. The error is not good enough to understand what is the error. So the user cannot understand what is going wrong. As Lee suggested to me, uh,
Yeah, so you would ideally include this contributing guide to models. into the
Yes,
error.
yes. As he suggested to me, I update the link to the in the readme.md file to point to the guide for the models.
Great. So I'll ask if anyone has any feedback for this particular change.
Yeah, also one thing like you can point to the, I think that might be what Lee is asking for also, like directly inside the error code, like point to the, like inside the description, point to the documentation. I don't know if we already did that, but. And also like make this into a probably a reusable error, and with a proper error code probably, because like this might be reused in other places. If it doesn't exist, like make sure like maybe this like specific error code already existed there with a proper description maybe.
Okay.
And so help you with that. To help you with that, Kushal, we have like extensive docs on how to write errors. So you will find that in the docs easily. So thank you for sharing your updates.
Okay.
Kushal,
I will.
it sounded like you still had a question about what the feedback was. If you take a look at the hyperlink that you're sharing with users when they run into an error here, the hyperlink is to the README. Is that helpful? Does that help them resolve the issue?
No, as you suggested to me, I already update the link to readme.md to models.
To models, great, perfect.
Yeah.
Nice.
You can look to my latest PR.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, hopefully you don't need my review on it. Like if you're good, great. The other thing that those guys are mentioning, are you familiar with where to go look for how to write Meshery errors, Meshkit errors?
Yeah, I will look forward to it and I will make the changes. I will update you on Slack.
Oh, nice. Oh, great. Hey, speaking of errors, just on that topic real quick, is Salvik with us today? I don't think he is able to be here, but there had been a lack of consistent execution in CI for Meshery's, for Meshery's error utilities. So I don't know that we had been consistently generating error codes, and I had a few replace me's and things like that.
No, I think like that one was fixed by Solvik. Like it was the issue with the file name was wrong. Like we were expecting error.go to be the name of the file, but it was errors.go.
All right, looks
Yeah,
like
you can continue.
Oh, yeah, okay. Thanks a lot, Abid. So then we'll have this update from Jihan, and I think she's also on the call. So do you mind going next and sharing your updates?
Yeah. I see my screen.
Yeah, your screen is visible, but I think there might be some issue with your microphone because your voice is very low.
Hi. So is the voice okay now?
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah. So, we recommend me to update the existing documents about deploy and undeployments. So I got this PR and I update the documents based on the existing documents and something I got from the code. So do I need to explain the page more in detail?
And like if you would quickly go through some of the changes that you made, like some additions that you did.
Yeah. So this I add this page in the guide and infrastructure management under it. I dive it into 3 steps. The first one is the deployment architecture, which can give a basic understanding of how we store and manage these things. I introduced the registry and model here, model generation here. Then the next step, I think the readers may want to know how we ensure the consistency track of the things. So I write the deployments validation and the state management here, which is about the Meshery synchronize and the versions entity lifecycle. Then the last is the deployments and undeployments action breakdown. So I add a sample here. This is about the other page. Initially I want to merge it into here, but I think that page might be too long. So I still use this way to add another link here. So basically that's all the changes I made.
Jian, so like this is a completely new page, or like was this already there? Like, or did you create a new page for this?
Yeah.
Okay, like it's a new page. Like, what section it goes under? Like inside the navigation.
It's the guide.
Okay, it's a guide. Okay.
The infrastructure, and I don't know why it doesn't show this, but here the how Meshery manage deployments here.
Yeah, like makes sense. Like you have broken down it into the various stages that we use. Like you might like for the registry and other steps, you might like. I think you already are cross thinking to like the detailed page for registry and other steps. So yeah, and that's good.
Sorry, you mean the
No, I was just saying like you are already cross linking, so that's good. So one thing like maybe like you might have already added a section for like how we manage like the dependencies for the deployments, like the how we deploy the CRDs and other dependencies. Like I think you might have already added it.
Yeah, I added here.
And that's good. Like if anybody else has any feedback for Zian.
Yeah, I shared the link to the page that we are seeing right now, so anyone can go and take a look. I think that's it. Thanks a lot for your updates. Lee, by any chance, do you have anything to share?
I'm just excited to see Zion. It's great. Good. Oh man. Wow. I'm so pleased that we spent time, trying to understand the way that the page was laid out, what information who our audience is, what info we're trying to communicate. And yeah, this really helps. The Meshery has so much functionality, and it's been so difficult anytime that someone submits a PR, like of the PRs that we just reviewed on this call, I don't recall many of them talking about tests that are accompanying the PR or documentation updates that are accompanying the PR. Nobody's talking about that stuff, which means tests that people like to complain about when they fail, but nobody works on. Even maintainers who are tasked with working on them don't work on them. That it takes someone like Zihan to come along, intelligently digest what the heck is actually going on, and to extract the real value, like why any of you on the call would actually go read documentation. Most of you, if you're like me, you're not going to go to the docs to read like how to import a design. You're going to look for the button called import. And if the software doesn't work like you expect it to, you're going to get upset, frustrated. If you go read the documentation because you're frustrated, like it's not working like you expect, or you're not sure what's going on, what you want out of the docs is a description of the internal behavior of the system. You don't want a regurgitation of like how to import a design. Click on the import button, then find your file. click on the upload button. You do not want to read that garbage. If people have to read that, that means that we just failed from a UX perspective. This, what Zihan has written, this is the stuff that you need to know. This is the stuff that isn't necessarily sitting right there in front of the UI explaining how all this works. Like, no, this is, so yeah, especially if you're going to use a piece of software like Meshery and give it a large portion of control over your infrastructure, you want to be quite confident with what it's going to do to your infrastructure, what it's actually doing. So this is really helpful. So having said that mouthful, I'll pause for a second to provide some space to change the subject slightly. I'm hoping that we can have a chat with Zihan and maybe some of the rest of us that are on this call about a somewhat related topic. It relates to dependencies and Helm charts. So Helm charts and dependencies right here. Zihan, by the way, it's Zihan. I'm saying it correctly, right?
Yeah, it is.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Just before I go off and say it wrong for a long time, I figured I'd just ask. All right, so there's a topic, the topic that Zihan has covered in depth here has something to do with Helm charts, something to do with dependencies. She has written this up in context of the behavior that Meshery has when deploying a design. There's a lot to talk about, and she's talking about it. Related to how Meshery I'm going to say it for the third time, sorry, deals with, okay, wait. This is how Meshery uses Helm charts and dependencies when doing a deployment. On the flip side, when Meshery imports a Helm chart, and a Helm chart that might have subcharts, or a Helm chart that has dependent charts, there are two moments in time in which Meshery will import a Helm chart. I'm hoping, Zihan, that we can talk about this briefly, and Vivek will give us a time check if we need to do this separately. But that briefly, there are two moments in time in which Meshery imports a Helm chart. One is, I think someone else was talking about generating components, like all those models that Meshery has and all the components that it has loaded into its internal registry. Those can be registered or unregistered. Those models can be loaded up into a running Meshery system. Great. The models, or the way that Meshery creates a model and generates these components, sometimes it is from a Helm chart. And sometimes, and so Meshery just takes the Helm chart, looks at the YAML, it goes through it and finds any custom resource definitions. It says, oh, there's a custom resource. I will, in sort of a one-to-one relationship, a one-to-one ratio, it will create a new component, one new Meshery component for each CRD that it finds. Great. When Meshery looks at a Helm chart, that's just a single chart, maybe some custom resource definitions. It's a very straightforward generation of components. It's a very straightforward import. If that Helm chart has dependencies, though, Meshery will intelligently say, oh, I see that you're importing not, in order for this, I see that you're importing not just this chart, or rather it does sort of the nice thing of recursing or following that trail of dependent Helm charts and generating components for all of those other dependent Helm charts. That can be really nice. It can also cause a little bit of confusion. It can mean that, I'll use an example and say for Prometheus, Kapil could probably tell you that Prometheus is, well, arguably the most deployed application across anytime that you run into a Kubernetes cluster. Like it's like the number one most deployed piece of cloud native infrastructure out wherever, even outside of Prometheus. Outside of Kubernetes, it's got some popularity, but certainly within inside of Kubernetes. My point is, if you've packaged up an application into a Helm chart, sometimes a subchart would be Prometheus and all of the Prometheus custom resource definitions, alerts and alert rules and a variety of things. Well, that can mean that Meshery will generate duplicative components quite a bit. And anyway, you know what, actually, I'm going to pause because it's about to rat tail into like a long discussion about the fact that Meshery intentionally creates duplicative components, and that's a good thing, but it can cause a little bit of, it would be really good if we went through in the same fashion that you just went through with kind of a fine-tooth comb of digesting what the actual behavior of the system is and documenting it. There's this sort of related area that we need to document, and I'm trying to introduce it. Briefly, the second way that Meshery will import a Helm chart is, well, it's in essence when Meshery connects to a Kubernetes cluster, that cluster may have a bunch of custom resource definitions that Meshery does or does not currently have represented in its registry. In order for Meshery to be powerful and support your Kubernetes clusters, whether you have used Meshery to deploy that infrastructure, or whether you've been running that infrastructure, those clusters, for a long time, if you bring Meshery to bear, you bring it fresh onto the scene, but there's a lot of existing infrastructure, we want to support that use case, that brownfield use case, meaning Meshery didn't deploy that infrastructure, but you still want to use Meshery to discover all of the infrastructure, all of your Kubernetes clusters, all of those custom resource definitions. So Meshery does that discovery, and it will automatically generate components, even if they're duplicative. And there's clarification that we need to provide and some tools or some controls that we need to offer users about when it's okay to duplicate and when it's not. So it'd be nice to chat with you more about that. Some of that I realized like it's kind of related, it's partially related, and then it's this whole new bucket of like of models and generating components.
Yeah.
And yeah. So if you're up for it, you'll have 5,000 questions, and we will either do some Slacking or we'll do some Google Docs. We'll start to exchange, but for anyone else who's on the call and didn't get bored just now, and maybe you'd like to participate in that conversation, please do. It's an excellent time to jump in right into the thick of what one of Meshery's central functions, model generation, model registration, and how that works. So I'm encouraged and to like go and chase down documenting how that behaves because Zihan is here and because she's doing this well. So cool. Good. I'm gonna come hunt you down, Zihan, and see if this is an area of interest.
Thank you for your updates, Jihan. Next up, we have this end-to-end testing coverage update from Pranjal, and we'll quickly confirm. Yep, there is.
Yeah. So let me paste 1 second. So I have put the link in the chat if you want to see. Okay. So this is the PR I made, and I've added 2 tests. Like Vivek told, we need more and more playwright tests to be done for the website, like to make Meshery more like reliable and like Like I have edited two tests currently: import a design and delete a design. So this is a there are more tests to be added for this page. Let me show you the page. Yeah, so this is the
Pranjal, like
page.
one thing, like you don't need to do all of the tests in a single PR. Like if two things are working, just like we can get that thing merged. But like otherwise, you will never get this thing merged. So just make sure like if the two that you have checked are properly working, then we can get them merged and you can work on the rest of the ones. So keep it in a probably like a issue, and each PR just link to that issue and which one you
Yeah,
are
sure.
deleting.
Okay, so somebody like in the I think in this issue told like to divide the things. So I would encourage everybody to let's participate in the end-to-end test so that we can do this like faster in a way. So there is I think there's a already document for this. So we can provide the link in the chat.
Yeah, good.
Thanks a lot. So, yep, you're right. There's a training session that one of the contributors had done on this particular subject on how to contribute to end-to-end testing. So, you will find that in a Meshery documentation. Kapil, like, did we discuss this already, or is it something that you will now cover? Quickly check if we have Kapil on the call. Looks like we, Kapil has left. So, Arya, you are next.
Yeah, I'm sharing a screen. So I was working on this one. If we so the issue was that the models that were ignored were not being shown in a registry UI. So I fixed that. If we can see this demo. So this model is ignored, but it is shown in the UI. So this is the change that I made. The change is a one-liner change. If we do not have this particular, if we do not have status set, then we just skip this clause, and if we have status set to enabled or ignored, then we would find this, we would apply this filter. So that's it about this PR. And apart from that, I was working on this. So the utility functions for registry generate are present in Meshery CTL, and since they are being used by server and CLI both, and potentially it can be used for cloud as well. That's why I'm moving those functions, utility functions, to Meshkit. So the work on this is in progress. These are the files that I've changed for now. So yeah, this is a work in progress. That's it. That's it for my updates. Any feedback?
It makes sense. Like for the first one, I think that should be good. Like I think basically because we are not supporting status, so I think it was hard coded probably. But yeah.
Okay.
So in case like if you'd make that query like support multiple filters, but like maybe from you we might expect users to like select multiple ones like ignored and some other, like make it like an in operator with an array so we can support multiple filters rather than just one status filter.
Currently there is a struct called model filters. It has all those. A status is just one field in that.
No, I mean like to support like filtering based on multiple filters, like having an or operator rather than just like checking that one filter for the query. So we can like query for multiple status, like by multiple status.
Okay, but status would only be two. So why would we need those? Like we have enabled or we have ignored.
I think we have more than like enabled and ignored. Like if you check if I'm right, like we support more than two. Yeah, if it's only two, then we can just have one. But if it's more than two, then it would be good if we support multiple.
Okay, I got you. Right.
The thing is like probably we're not like using all of the status that we have like now in the schema, but it's kind of good to support to make it generic.
Okay.
Thank you for your updates, Riya. Looks like we have this next update from Mahadevan on registry model wizard wireframe. Can you please go next?
Yeah. So Yes. So it isn't exactly a wireframe, but it's more of a workflow. So I had actually spoken to Souvik about this before, and we spoke for a while. We discussed what could be changed, what needs to be changed. I think, and in one of the earlier meetings, we had also mentioned that specifically this also needs to be changed. So I'll just like to take you through what exactly is the issue right now. So when you click on settings on playground.meshery.io, you uh, end up reaching here. Then you have to click on registry, and then you have to go to models, which is a lot of steps, four steps right now. And then you have to click on generate, which is not exactly what you would want to call something, which is a create model. From here onwards, which I have mentioned in the corner, I have described the scenario, the objective, what we would need, and also how we would fix it, any suggestions that we might have, and yeah, it is completed. It's halfway done, and I'll add the remaining two. But the main idea is that we would like to change this information button because it is not, it isn't very intuitive, and it's also sort of hidden. And we would also like to add, say, some tips, or maybe um, something which makes the same more usable in the sense that someone can figure out what to do, and maybe some placeholders and checks, because right now you can just pass this with any URL, and towards the end it won't tell you what exactly is wrong. And we also need to change these check marks. And yeah, the model does not get registered, and it also does not show any errors, so we need to change these things. So I'll be working on this. It's halfway done. I'll add some more things, discuss with others, create the wireframes and the UX, and then proceed forward.
Nice. Yeah. Hey, just as soon as you get that draft done, I encourage you to send out, well, to solicit comments from the community. So like a link in, just mentioning something inside of Slack is great. Even putting it on the discussion board is we've done that quite a few times in the past, but also
Yeah.
sending it out to the developers at Meshery.io, that mailing list, that'll get some eyeballs on it, get some people, well, one, understanding what's going on if they didn't before, but then two, potentially chipping in and helping out. So it's great.
Yeah. And one last thing is that there is this PR which I wanted to get feedback on. So for the layer5 IO/layer5 repository, there wasn't an NVMRC file. The purpose of this was to standardize node versions across this repository, and I have updated this to the latest LTS version within V20. So yeah, any feedbacks on this? Maybe.
Looks good to me.
Yeah, looks good.
So thanks a lot for your updates, Mahadevan. I'll start sharing my screen, assuming you don't have any more updates to share. So
Yeah, I'm done. Thank you very much.
and we are right on time. So thank you all for participating and sharing your updates. We'll be meeting this time next week, like the Wednesday. But until then, this is the community calendar where you can find all the weekly project and community meeting. And on Thursday, that is tomorrow, we'll be having this newcomers meeting for everyone who is joining for community for the very first time. So attend that call. You will find me there, hosting, and I can also answer to some of your questions around community and project. So that was it. Once again, thanks, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Till then, bye.
You said tomorrow, right? Tomorrow is the build and release meeting?
No, I said the newcomers meeting, and that's held on Thursday.
And then tomorrow is also the build and release meeting? Is that right?
No, there's none.
Oh, there isn't? Okay, I've got my Thursdays off. Okay. Okay, thanks. Yeah, thanks for confirming. Okay.